if they're hell-bent on murder, if they've chosen violence as a strategy to advance a political agenda. Charlie came together with them every time he went on campus, and they shot him dead in the neck. He tried to build bridges. He tried to have a dialogue, and they murdered him in cold blood. So that's where the left doesn't really understand what's been done, because if you're going to kill Charlie, you can kill anybody. This guy was not just a political activist. He was a spiritual leader of a movement. He talked about God, family, love, sovereignty, not just politics. So this was a spiritual attack, and people will be dealt with. There will be a reckoning, not violence. We don't condone violence. We would never stoop to this level, but we will drive these people out firmly and resolutely. So this kind of stuff will not exist in the United States of America ever again.
Jessica, we're learning brand new details through the Washington Post this evening. The Washington Post is reporting through two people familiar with the Discord chat that we have started to learn some details of. They're reporting that the suspect in Charlie Kirk's shooting did post to Discord, "It was me," an outright confession for what he did, saying, quote, "I'm sorry for all of this."
And that he was going to be turning himself in a couple of hours, which we know to be the case. And I'm glad, Jesse, that you were clear that this was a non-violent call to action that you're talking about. But there are a lot of people saying things like we are at war, and war has a very particular violent connotation to it. And from what we know thus far, and it's an ongoing investigation that it seems deeply complicated, but everybody from the president to Governor Cox to FBI Director Patel all seem to agree that he was radicalized online and seems to be part of this kind of internet nihilist group of kids, right, who spend all their time in Discord chats and play video games. And that makes sense because of what we saw in the bullet casings, right? The furry meme, which is old, by the way. I was reading about it. It's over 10 years old. So, you know, he's grown up on this, been seeing it for a long time. The Helldivers 2, the game, then the Ciao Bella, which has been used by both the left and the right, this anti-fascist call to action. If there is evidence that he was a leftist, and Cash talked this morning about this note that doesn't exist anymore, but through our aggressive interview posture, we know exactly what it said. They're going to have to do better than that for people to take it from the president and people who are supporting him in this, that this is a they problem, that the left came out and they took out Charlie Kirk. Now, it may absolutely be the case, but we know that Tyler Robinson was raised in a close-knit conservative family. We know it was a big gun culture family. The grandma said something like, "We don't even know any liberals." It wasn't school indoctrination. Carrie Lake went off on that. He was in an online apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College, which I don't think was changed.
I would just know
I understand, but they didn't say when he changed. Yeah. I'm just saying we need more information before you smear
at a dinner.
Before
we don't need more information.
Really?
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive.
What about Melissa Hortman that we just
you want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
Doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same, and now you can bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your, what about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this, what about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
But
since
the two
then.
sides
Baloney.
it's like picking out to a duck.
No, all that I was saying is can we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's
does
have
seem...
a conversation.
No,
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that.
Yep.
So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on the story.
Yep.
They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.